I was very happy. I was very excited. I even told people at work, like, "Yeah, I'm going to be a dad." People are just looking at me. This intern, a dad. And then you see, we were very young. We are still very young. It's not most of my age mates don't even think about families or having children, and that is part of the reason why I actually did this series, because most of them are like, "Hey, how are you doing it? How do you do it? How have you been able to manage?"
I do pray for you. I do pray for you. Daddy loves you. Mommy loves you. Never forget.
Never forget to call.
That we love you.
Down to the heart.
Daddy loves you.
Hey,
Mommy loves
I'll be
you.
with you.
Never
Take care.
forget.
What up, what up? It's your boy Qahira again. It's time for the second episode. So after procrastinating doing these videos, I've actually even resorted to doing them at night so that I have no distractions after I finish my Rocket League tournaments and everyone else is asleep and the house is just quiet. I can actually get to focus on this series. So this is the second episode. On the first episode, I covered how I met your mother, pretty much how I met Nayana's mother and how our relationship developed, and a few of the milestones that we experienced before we actually got to the point where our relationship was actually solid. So as I explained, we did our honeymoon phase came later on, and there were so many things we had to deal with before we actually got to a point where our relationship was now stable and we could actually move forward. So some of the things we did speak about during that time was our future and what we saw could happen in our future. So these conversations are really important when you actually have someone that you feel you're going to go the extra mile with. Even when you're going into relationships, you actually have to have such conversations, because why are you going into that relationship if you don't see a future in there? Don't waste another person's time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste our time, because we also invest in those relationships. You have friends around you who you will come for advice to, and then after a while the relationship has gone to shit. And no, this is not even me saying you should not date. No. I'm just saying date with the right purpose so that you actually don't even end up hurting yourself, because as much as people go into relationships thinking that, oh, this is just casual, this is not something that could harm you in any ways, it does happen. Sometimes you do catch feelings. You mnaingianga mnasema oh situationship, alafu unaanza kusema mimi ni shujaa, mimi siwezi umia, alafu mtu akienda unaanza kulia, hata si kama tutoa na machozi. It hurts. You don't want to put yourself through that. So having such conversations are really important in relationships. So for us, we did have many key conversations heading into the relationship, even during the relationship. So one of the things we did talk about is kids, because me, like I said, I had already pictured a life with the family. So this is something most people don't know about me, but when I was in Form 2, it was around 2011. 2011. So in 2011, I lost my my youngest sister, who I had not met. My mom gave birth when I was in school, and then they didn't tell me that she had given birth, but then the baby passed away after a couple of minutes because of complications, because my mom had a leg issue where her veins were clogged, so she was kept in hospital for majority of her pregnancy. And then the hospital messed up and gave her a strong dose which was lethal to the baby, so it like burnt the baby and the baby died. So that stayed with me. I was the one who was most affected by that, and it took a lot out of me, because it took me a while to recover. But then I was always saying, like, when I get an opportunity to be a parent, I would actually want to do it in the right way, because I had asked for a little sister. I didn't get a little sister, but then now becoming a parent, I knew it was going to be different, but I was ready for it. So in the back of my mind, I always told myself I want to be a family man, I want to settle and be with a person and all that. But then the opportunity hadn't presented itself, because I hadn't really had a good relationship. For me, during my entire campus life, I tried dating. It did not work for me. It was just chaos after chaos, and By the time I was actually now getting together with Cass, now that was really, even people around me were like, hey, this guy is actually settling after all the character development. But even at that time, people didn't really think it was going to go this far, because it's like, okay, this is his first relationship in the longest time, so probably after a while it will fade and all that. There was actually someone who told me mtachana tu na. Anyways, some of you are very boo. But anyways, I didn't take it, was on a lighter note and it wasn't that serious. So one of the conversations we had was about having children. So I had come with my list of names of how my kids will be called. She had come with her list of hers. One thing men mnafaa kujua, it's that chances are, yes, serikali itageuka. Was a man, you provide, you do most of these things, but overall the house belongs to the woman, and some of these things now compromises takuja. Although initially we had settled on the names she had picked, but then Nayana was actually a name that I picked, and it wasn't even part of the names that I had before, or even part of hers. So she had picked out a name, and then that name was actually for a boy. And then after now going back and seeing where she had gotten that name, we actually realized it's not a name we would want our kid to have, because the meaning behind it had actually lost purpose. So now I took my time, put together names that she had came up with and I had came up with, and now came up with like a name that would work for both of us. So Nayana was that name. Nayana means apple of my eye. So having that conversation, we had talked and asked each other what would happen. So we find ourselves in a position whereby we are having kids, or we are settling down, or we're having a family, or things don't work out after we've had kids. Like, what do we do? So for us, our biggest compromise, or the biggest decision we made, was that regardless of what happens between me and her, our kids will not face the consequences of our relationship turning sour. So we knew that it's possible. We were very young. It was not guaranteed that our relationship would actually go the extra mile, or would actually go the distance together, but we knew we wanted to be together, and we actually saw a future together. That is why we were having this conversation. So for me, I'd even I had met her parents. I'd actually met her parents, and that's how serious I was about her. I wanted to know every little bit of information about her, so that I also know how to deal with certain things, because sometimes the families are the reason even people break up. You are very good together, but then the interference that comes from the family doesn't even make sense. So it was all about that. So we did have that discussion about kids. So after we had that conversation I had mentioned in the previous episode about us now coming together completely, that was also right around the time now we also started staying together, I believe. A month after we actually started staying together, but it wasn't like really official. She used to like come over, stay for like a week, 2 weeks, and then go back home for a while, and then after some time she came. So during that time we had gotten so close, and since that's when our honeymoon phase began, yes, and huyo. So since we had already had the conversation about having kids, we had not decided on when we wanted to have kids, but then God decided for us, and Nayana, we actually found out that we were going to have Nayana very early. So during the time that Nayana was we actually realized that we were going to have Nayana. That's when I had started my office job. I had worked in my office job for like a month, but then I was an intern. Na unajua interns wanalipongwa gratitude inaitwanga token. Sasa token ni ya kubai stima, si token ya zile ya familia. Token kidogo sana. But then during that time mi najichocha tu. So I was doing freelance before I got into the office job, and then this is the idea I had. I told myself, if I worked hard as an intern, and got myself a contract, it would actually be enough now for me to sustain myself. And now, since our relationship had gotten serious, I would actually even be able to support her. Although during that time she was still working, and there were several jobs that I had also sourced, and she had actually started working on those. So we were both working at that time, which was actually good, because two incomes is very important for a household. So try and also always strive for that. If you and your partner can both work and bring checks to the table, that will actually be very helpful for both of you. So during that time, I was working as an intern, and I had saved now a significant amount from my freelance to actually to keep pushing me and her as we stayed together. She spent most of her time here. So for me, it's like she had already moved in, although we did have that conversation later on about her moving in. So during that time, we had like naambia honeymoon phase yetu sasa ilikuwa imeanza. Sasa during that time we had so much fun together. We connected in so many ways. And during my my birthday month, I'm usually very excited, and now that is when Nayana came. So we conceived Nayana in August. But then you see that feeling. There's this feeling where now you're expecting a kid. For me, I knew even before she told me. I knew there was something here, because now she kept telling me, things I've started feeling a bit different. My body is responding to things differently. I'm starting to feel different when I eat, when I sleep, when I'm even moving around. Yeah, so I was just there asking myself, or is she pregnant? But I'm like, nah, she can't be pregnant. No. Kijana alitumia ile method, lakini method ni gani? Wait. Anyways, so me, I kept a calm head at that time. I was like, if you get a kid now, it could be crazy, but then there was really no harm in it. But then I just kept my cool, didn't do anything. So she felt that some type of way for like 3 days, and then I was like, okay, maybe it's about time I just get a kid. We like be sure whether it's something that's happening now or it's not. It's just if it's a scare. Hizi scares mmezipata sana, wengi wenyu wanazipata hata sahi, lakini you know them, they're not really easy to handle, especially if you're not in a position you'd feel comfortable with. So for me, it's not like that I wasn't going to be comfortable with her being pregnant. It's just that I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to provide. I wasn't sure. So now, I bought a kit. I was with a friend of mine from work. She helped me purchase the kit, and then now I came with the kit. The first test she took was not conclusive, because I think we rushed it, and then there was that second line, but then it wasn't really clear. So we're like, maybe we messed with the kit, so we can try again and see if it's true. But then after seeing that, I was like, even the second kit is just going to confirm this. But then I was like, let me just wait. So I didn't realize how serious this thing was until I went to work the next day. My heart was racing. I was just like, wait, what happens if it's true? What happens if it's true? My head was all over the place. And then the same workmate took me to the same place. We bought the second kit. Even the person who sold it to me, and I was like, this guy really looks worried. And me being worried, like I said, it wasn't even a matter of me not wanting a baby or not wanting her to be pregnant. It was just that I wasn't in a good place financially, and I didn't feel like that was the right time for me to become a father, because now I didn't know how I was going to handle the whole being able to provide for them. But then I was just like, let me keep a cool head, let me just wait for what happens, let me wait for the results. And I was like, now this is nice. And I think that day I left work so early, because I remember by the time I was getting home for her to test, there was still light out. So I got home, gave her the second kit, and I was like, I didn't even change. Usually I just come home, change, get my home clothes on, and then just chill. But then that day I was like, no, just take this kit, test it, and then now we know what's going to happen. So she took the kit, got into the bathroom. Tulikuwa tunakaa kwa kibed sit hapo. So mimi nimekaa kwa kiti, nimeingia kwa loo, alafu ameacha tu mlango wazi na ngoja sasa. We are waiting. That wait was very long, but then we were like, let's just wait and see what happens. There we were. The kit with the second line. There was this line in the song that I did with Vijana Barubaru. It says, I saw the second line and drew my focus from it. And when I came close to her, she had started crying. And then I saw the second line, and that's where my focus came from. And I just looked at it, took up the kit, and said, it's positive. And this is what I told her. I got you. Don't worry, I got you. Because as soon as I saw that second line, see, every bit of worry I had before about how I was going to be a dad, how I was going to provide for this family, every doubt just went away. Because now I knew this is what my future looks like, and I have to step up to the plate. There is no time to worry. There's no time to think about how things are going to go. It's now. I need to step up now. And that's what I did. I just told her, I got you, hugged her, calmed her down. We sat down, and then we just started laughing about it. Because we initially had that conversation. She was like, so what happens if you get pregnant? She was like, if you get pregnant, it's fine. We'll just deal with it. So we kept on saying that, if the baby comes right now, we'll deal with it. If the baby doesn't come right now, it's also fine. When the baby comes, we'll be ready for it. So it came at a time we weren't ready, but mentally for us, we were ready. We knew we wanted to have a family. We knew we wanted kids. We just weren't ready then. Like, we weren't ready to have the kids then. But then this opportunity is here. We can't even think twice about it. We have to go with it. So after realizing that, I was very happy. I was very excited. I even told people at work, hey, I'm going to be a dad. People are just looking at me, this intern, a dad. And then, you see, we were very young. We are still very young. It's not, most of my age mates don't even think about families or having children, and that is part of the reason why I actually did this series, because most of them are like, hey, how are you doing it? How do you do it? How have you been able to manage it? So these are some of the things that I went through, and how so you'll find yourself here pia. So sijali hizo heart races kama race in heart in a race kama Mark Verstappen na kina Hamilton. Yes, you will feel it until the last minute una feel. So it was very life-changing for me. So now I had to figure out a way to now find ways to be able to provide for my family, right? So the first thing I did was actually go back now to freelance, because I felt being an intern and then just that being the only income, and then there was no guarantee I was going to get a contract, by the way, and then even getting that contract, as I soon found out, wasn't going to be sufficient, because after I got my contract, I was like, wait, this is the contract I had actually sacrificed my freelance for. So I had to figure out a way to ensure that I still make enough to actually support my family. So I went back to freelance, and now Nige is working 2 jobs, and that's why I rarely get free time for myself. I'm always working. Yeah, I'm at the office working. I'm at home working, and that's even why my creativity side has actually struggled. And even the fact that I'm getting time to do these videos is a wonder. I'll try to be consistent once I go back, because I figured I wanted to make a transition back, but then I realized it's not quite the right time yet. So it means once the year starts again, I'm going to go back to that fast-paced life. So I'm going to have to figure out how to find balance again, as I'm trying to also now start doing videos. So it's going to be quite the challenge. So I had to work 2 jobs, and I'm still working 2 jobs, which I don't really mind. But then at some point, it's something I'm going to have to figure out, because now it takes a lot out of a person. And then being this young, my social life also changed. I can't tell you the last time I hung out with my friends for a long time. I'm not even complaining, because even my friends are also busy out there doing their thing. Most of us are figuring our shit out, and that's why I don't even get mad if a person doesn't talk to me for an entire year and then pulls up around Christmas. Okay, as long as you don't share a forwarded message, at least just say Merry Christmas, that's fine with me, or something like that. So if a person reaches out to me, even if it's to ask for something that's reasonable, I will actually come through, because now you're figuring your shit out. I also have a lot going on. There are people I actually haven't noticed, I haven't spoken to until now. I saw them post after like a long time, and then I realized, hey, I haven't spoken to this person for the longest time, and I have not seen them post for the longest time. And then you find out this person was going through some shit, but you couldn't know because of how long it's taken for you to actually talk again. So there is a bit of that change. So my social life changed, my professional life changed, my creative life changed, and those kind of changes I had to make so many sacrifices for, and now it's become part of my routine now. There are things I had to sacrifice that I really don't do anymore, and then there are things now I do now to actually even unwind and actually even stay focused to what is true to me. So as part of my unwinding, I go to the studio, create music, of which I have not done for quite some time, and I will go back to that. I spend time with my family. I try to make weekends very free from work, and also just spend time with my family. During the week, if it gets too much for me, I unwind either that's why I even bought a PlayStation, because it's something now that takes me away from all the pressures of work, and I just enjoy. So I find myself posting things about Rocket League, FIFA, because some of my favorite games, that is. If I get time to actually enjoy that, that's like my 1 hour or 2 hours of just focusing on something that's not serious, just enjoying myself basically. If I get time to rest, I also do that, which is very rare, and this is like the longest time I've been away from work, from either freelance or from the office job, because I took my time to just stay away from everything and just relax. So these are some of the changes that maybe most people would not be willing to do, because you still want to enjoy your life. You're still young, you still want to do some things here and there, which is fine. This is what I tell people. Everything will happen at the right time. First of all, you've not even met someone you feel you can settle down with or can have kids with. And always strive, if you can actually be with someone and then think about the family, always strive to do that, because kids being in complete homes is really important. But if that's not the plan, or if ideally that doesn't happen for you, you still have to be there for the kid, right? So things happen at the right time, and at that time, even if it's not the right time, you'll still find a way to figure it, as long as now you prepare yourself. So if you're not there mentally, if you're not there financially, if you're not ready for it entirely, don't stress yourself. It will come at the right time. Even if some people are like, I haven't met someone, time is going. Where is time going? Where are you going? Why are you in a rush? These things happen differently for different people, and it happened early for me. And people think that since it's happened early for me, now I'm living my best life. I am enjoying being a family man. I do enjoy having a woman by my side. I do enjoy coming home to a kid that just smiles at me every time she sees me. It's really nice. But then it comes with a lot of responsibilities, it comes with a lot of sacrifices, which most people are not ready to make yet, and it is fine. Take your time, enjoy your life, enjoy your youth. Once you get to that point, you'll know, you'll feel it, and even if it happens without you being fully ready, you'll adapt to it. We are people, we've been through so many different situations, but we've actually hacked. So never stress yourself about these things. They always happen at the right time. Yeah, so after I figured out that I'm going to be a dad, those are some of the things that changed, and that pretty much marks the second episode. The third episode is going to cover now the changes during the pregnancy. That's the first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. So pretty much take you through what happened for us during that period, the relationship, how our relationship changed, because now our relationship always get affected during that period, because it's very new to you guys. It's very new. So I'll go into that into the next video. Thank you so much for giving me an audience. Thank you so much for supporting me through this process. Why am I giving a vote of thanks in episode 2?
Tabasamu, moyo utulie, nawaza ukiwa na